So anybody remember Splitgate? It was a first-person shooter that blew up out of absolutely nowhere, to the point where its servers were crashing from the sheer amount of traffic it was getting. It was marketed as Halo plus Portal, and that alone was enough to cause intrigue. So I installed Splitgate, waited a few hours to even play the game, and had an actual blast. And so did my friends. We played it a decent amount, trying out ranked, participating in the battle pass that was completely free. But come the next season, everyone was gone, including me. I did not know a single person who was still playing Splitgate. Now my experience is just my own, but considering all talk about the game has halted since then, and the game is no longer even in development, I think that my experience may be similar to other people's. So my question is, what went wrong? Was it just an unlucky death? A great game fading into obscurity? Or was there a reason for its downfall? Let's take a closer look at Splitgate. Splitgate is a pretty standard multiplayer game. All weapons you use you find in individual matches hidden around the game's various maps. And there is no create a class system, so like I said, Halo. Now if you've been paying attention to my other videos, you might have picked up on the fact that I like to do things beat by beat, but of course that doesn't really make sense to do with a multiplayer game like Splitgate, so obviously I wouldn't do it game mode by game mode, right? This is the most standard game mode. You simply get kills to win. This is what you play to get a feel for how Splitgate plays. I wish there was more to say, but there isn't. It's just team deathmatch. I promise there's more to say about the others. It's Dom, and it's pretty standard here. There are 3 points to capture and holds. The portals do kind of add an extra element to things, but personally it's a little bit too chaotic for me to really enjoy. It's a completely fine mode, it's just not for me. This is actually just hardpoint, and it might be my favorite objective-based mode in the game. Setting up a portal to overlook a hill is actually really fun, and since there's only 1 point in the game, it's super easy to keep track of. I'm not a huge fan of capture the flag modes, and it seems I'm not alone since I could only play 1 game for this script, as nobody voted for it, ever. One flag capture the flag is a twist on the game mode where there's actually 1 flag instead of 2. Think of it like search and destroy plus capture the flag. Unfortunately, from my very limited experience, it seems like it's much easier to defend than it is to attack, leading to a tiebreaker at the end with defenders winning every round prior. I can't really say that the game mode's bad because I could barely play it, but I really don't like it. Splitball is actually funner than I thought it would be. The objective is simple, grab the ball and keep it long enough to score a point. This type of game mode usually sucks. I remember Uplink from Black Ops 3 sucking, for example. But the portals giving you that extra mobility makes it feel like you can actually escape most situations. And on top of that, you aren't completely defenseless either, as you can melee anyone and it's a one-hit kill. No exceptions. So holding the ball is actually fun, and giving chase to the other team that has it is also fun. An unexpected gem of a game mode. It's a playlist that combines some other modes that we already talked about, but with a twist. You spawn with random guns every single time you die. It's a really good casual mode, and even though most of the time it's just luck on who got the better gun, it's not meant to be competitive, and it's just good fun. I'd honestly say that this is one of the best beginner game modes. I love this playlist. Shotguns are one of my favorite weapons in the game, and although the Team Sniper game mode does not have them, using the sniper by itself is also super satisfying and rewarding. It's super fun to hit somebody with a sniper and then switch to your shotgun to finish them off. And since both weapons are pretty powerful already, you feel unstoppable going on a killing spree with them. I'm going to take the time to talk about something that is incredibly hard to accurately state my feelings on. And this issue is at least partially responsible for this video taking so long to come out. That and the Binding of Isaac just existing. I had next to no motivation to play Splitgate. Once I got playing, I had fun, but starting, that was the hard part. I think that this was the case because I felt like there wasn't really any point. Before starting work on this video, there was absolutely zero reason for me to play Splitgate. There was 0 point. You might counter-argue, well, for fun, but amusement parks are fun. Does that mean that you're gonna want to keep going every single week, or even every single day, once you get past the initial thrill? Those rides will eventually get boring. And it is the exact same way with video games. And that is where the concept of progression comes in. Games keep you coming back by making you feel like you are progressing towards some goal. Camos, prestiges, weapon unlocks, attachments, and all the cosmetics in general could all be unlocked through progression. Some of these are missing from Splitgate for obvious reasons. Weapon unlocks and attachments, of course, because the game doesn't have a customizable loadout system. But the rest, and this is a problem with most modern multiplayer games, the rest is almost non-existent, unless you pay. The only bit of free progression I could latch onto is Splitgate's gold camos. But I don't really like that system much, because in order to grind a certain weapon, you may have to play modes that you don't want to play. You have to go out of your way to progress. You can unlock some modes, but only after level 10, which is insanely easy to do. Most of the cosmetics are locked behind a paywall, so unlocking everything the game has to offer is simply impossible without coughing up your wallet. Splitgate is free to play and an indie game, so I completely understand the monetization. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't really change the way I feel. I'm just tired of the way that modern multiplayer games operate. I'm sick of loot boxes, I'm sick of item shops, I'm sick of seasons, and most of all, I'm sick of battle passes. Oh boy, let's talk about the battle pass. I liked the concept back in Fortnite when it was new and not 15 other games were doing it, because different games that have battle passes are essentially always stepping on each other's toes constantly. If you don't know, a battle pass is where you pay for the opportunity to earn items within a set amount of time. If you don't get the items in that time, well then they go poof. You can earn quote-unquote free stuff, but most of the time it's stuff you would never even want anyway. The Battle Pass in Splitgate was the only bit of progression that I could actually have fun with in Season 1. And I think that it was no coincidence that the time the Battle Pass was free was the time that I played the game the most. And then right after, when they came out with a new one that you had to pay for, that was it. The only bit of progression I had in Splitgate. Locked behind a paywall. When you play a game, it actually wants to take 2 currencies from you, not 1. The first one is of course your money. The second one you may not have even considered, your time. Free-to-play games usually use a one or the other model. You give your money to get something now, or you give your time to get something later. But battle passes? They take both. You pay for the opportunity to earn, instead of earning being the alternative. And if you don't cough up your time, then your money is essentially wasted. Unless you pay even more to just skip the entire battle pass, but then you just cheated yourself out of the progression system, so it's like, it's a lose-lose either way. And this gets even worse if you have multiple battle passes, because they are all competing for your time, and your time is much more finite than money. This practice is so normalized, it's sickening, and the absolute worst part is that nobody seems to care. When you buy a battle pass, you are forced to play. You can't play Warzone because you're missing out on XP in Fortnite. You can't invest yourself in a good single player game because the clock is ticking until your money is wasted. And you can't take a chance on a new game or battle pass when you're already trying to manage 3 others. To be clear, I don't completely fault Splitgate for this. It's an indie game, and this is just where the industry is at right now. I just hate it so much, and is part of the reason why I lost interest in Splitgate. I was not gonna buy the Battle Pass, so there was no progression system for me, and thus, no point. It's worth noting that as I write this script, the Battle Pass is free. I don't know when they did this. I assume it's after the development of Splitgate has ceased, but I honestly think that there's still no reason to care. It's too little too late. The game isn't even being developed anymore. And it's not like you could care from a completionist standpoint because those other cosmetics from the previous seasons are gone. You might try to counter-argue that Splitgate is completely void of criticism from this because it's a free game, and I completely disagree. As much as I hate loot boxes too, in theory you could unlock everything the game has to offer if you just have no life. But that isn't even possible anymore because of the battle passes. And Splitgate? Well, Splitgate had both. It has a loot box system and a battle pass, so it got both evils. And even then, I wouldn't say that loot boxes are a good progression system, because you cannot see what you're earning. You get the loot box, you open it, you go, oh cool, neat I guess, and then you move on. There's no sense of progression towards that, it's just a random event that happens and now you have an item. Okay, that was a bit depressing, let's move on right now. This is another entry in the growing trend of, let's take away what makes our game unique because why not? Now to be clear, the mode's pretty fun, not having to worry about people portaling behind you is pretty nice, but if you hate portals to the point where you would play this over any other mode, then I don't know why you're playing Splitgate. Because unlike games like Fortnite where if you take out the building you get huge weapon variety, a giant map to explore, in-game events, etc., if you take the portals out of Splitgate, you get Halo. The maps in this playlist are also kind of bland. You either get the simulation maps or community created maps, which are all very gray. I'm not knocking on the community members who created this, I don't know anything about the tools, but I feel like they just don't have access to color, because most of these are very, very grayish. I don't think it's a bad playlist, I just don't see much of a point of it existing. This mode is so fun. You have one gun and one gun only, the plasma gun. You turn into a speedy boy and your health is only 25. The plasma gun is a really fun gun by itself, but with the movement speed buff and the health nerf, it becomes a really fast-paced deathmatch. A big source of frustration for me playing Splitgate was its long time to kill. To be clear, this is not a criticism but just preference. This mode is a lot closer to what I'm actually used to, and as a result, I have a blast with it. That being said, if you hate quick time to kills, maybe stay away from this one. It's meh. Anybody remember Infection from Call of Duty Ghost? It's like that, but take away everything that made Infection fun and make it a team mode. There was only 1 to 2 survivors at once, one on each team, with the goal being to kill the other team's survivor. The survivors also do not get access to any portals, which is a choice. To balance this out, they're also the only ones that gain access to guns. The shotgun, in fact, which is a pretty good choice. Everyone else is equipped with BFBs, which would normally be fine, but since we're fighting people who also have BFBs, it just turns into a whole lot of draws. It's an okay mode. Play Team Splitball. I do not think that this is a good mode. Just like Zombie VIP, everyone has a BFB, so automatically you're going to be dying a lot more, even when you get a kill. Another issue I noticed is that gank fights are impossible 90% of the time. The BFB has a cooldown, so it's purely a numbers game. If you have a 2v2, well then you might be able to win. 1v2 though, you're losing. You can kill one, but the other that's on standby will kill you instantly while you're still on cooldown. Additionally, the fun of actually holding the split ball has been ruined. First off, there are no portals, destroying the extra sense of mobility you got. To compensate, you get higher movement speed, but I don't think it's enough. But by far the worst part is the weapon choice. What made holding the split ball so fun is that although you didn't have a gun, you did have a one-hit melee. But there's a problem in this mode. Everyone has a one-hit melee. And on top of that, theirs are superior. So it's like you don't have anything special at all. There's no difference from just spawning in with a BFB. Honestly, this entire mode is just a straight downgrade. I would completely avoid it. This is just normal team deathmatch, but with 2 very small twists. 1, you start with a burst rifle instead of a normal assault, and 2, headshots kill instantly. I don't like this mode much. I think it's because it promotes long lines of sight and patience, which I just haven't really ever been good with. But yeah, it's just very subjective. I don't think the mode itself is actually bad, I just don't like it that much. I went into Pistol SWAT thinking that it was going to be even worse. I was dead wrong. My main issue with normal SWAT was getting killed across the map instantly without ever knowing where my enemy ever was. Due to the pistol not having a scope, this just doesn't happen. And since the pistol is kind of bad, going for body shots is kind of horrible, so that automatically and naturally incentivizes going for headshots. If we want fast-paced and precise aim, which I'm all about, it's very close quarters, and I just would recommend this one over normal SWAT any day. Maybe it's just a me thing. Maybe everyone else hates pistol SWAT. I don't know. Evolution is a 3v3 elimination game mode where if you lose, your weapons get better. If you win, they stay the same. It's a neat idea, but there isn't much to it. It kind of naturally balances things out, since if you're losing, you're probably the worst player, so you get the better gun. It's a good casual mode, but I wouldn't say it's anything to write home about. Showdown is just like Evolution, but if it was like Fiesta, you spawn with random weapons, it's good fun, it's pretty casual, and like Evolution, there's not much to say, other than obviously this one doesn't balance itself out, it's just random weapons. Takedown is my favorite of these three. It's a completely normal deathmatch, but you do respawn. The catch being is that every single time somebody on your team dies, the respawn timer is even longer. So if you're dying a lot, you get punished for that, but you're not automatically out. Whoever doesn't have anybody on their team left dies completely. And I think that this is probably like the most competitive mode in Splitgate, and that's kind of why it's in ranked. And I honestly just think it is the best elimination mode, even though technically it's not really an elimination mode. My annoying Call of Duty squeaker origin might be revealed here. I absolutely adore a gun game. If Flow State was a Splitgate game mode, it would be called the gun game. There was something so unbelievably satisfying as getting one kill after another, adapting to each new gun you get as you get them. And if you get stuck on a bad gun that's annoying to use, yeah, it does suck, but it makes it all the more satisfying when you finally get past it. Splitgate has a pretty decent weapon variety, so I think that gun game works really well here. If you like gun game anywhere else, you'll like it here, so just give it a shot. Okay, so since we just talked about gun game, I think it's only fair we talk about the actual weapons. So without further ado, I welcome you to Eckham's list of Splitgate weapons ranked from worst to best. That's probably completely wrong because this is my own opinion and I'm just a skill-issued scrub. The pistol is easily the worst weapon in Splitgate. I would trade it out over literally anything else. It takes almost an entire clip to kill one person, and if there's a second person there, you are so dead. It also used to be semi-auto, and now it's fully auto, so it used to be even worse than it already is. If you can, just avoid using this weapon. I don't think the SMG is bad at all. I actually think it's really good, but you never start with it. You always need to find it laying around and pick it up. And if I need to go through the effort of picking up a gun, I would rather pick up any other gun. Overall, the SMG is pretty good, but I never get to use the thing. These next two could be switched around pretty easily as they serve two different functions and paired together really well. The carbine is a pretty good long-range weapon and it's about a 3 to 4 shot kill, so it's pretty good. The assault rifle is actually really good up close, and if you use it like an SMG, well then you're gonna win most of your gunfights. The battle rifle is probably the best common gun. Its burst firing makes aiming really forgiving, and it does decent damage on top of that. It's not groundbreaking, but it shows up often enough and it's pretty decent. I'd say it's better than the assault rifle, so yeah, it's here. The railgun is just pure fun. It eliminates the long time to kill and insta-kills anyone you shoot, with the twist being that you have to charge it up. But charging it up isn't that big of a deal if they have your back turned to you, but it rarely shows up and it only has a couple of shots in it, so it's a fun weapon, but I wouldn't say that it's a good weapon. The BFB is pretty fun when you're the only one that has it. If other people have it, then it turns into some of the most miserable experiences ever. The plasma gun to me is just a way better SMG. It does decent damage and you can actually melt people with this thing. It doesn't come up as much as I'd like though. The rocket launcher is the I win the gunfight button. It's often a one-shot kill, and while you can kill yourself with it, if you're just careful, that usually won't happen. And for some reason they gave the rocket launcher a scope. The sniper is really flexible but really good on its own. 2-shot to the body, but 1 shot if you get a headshot. On top of this, it pairs beautifully with any other gun. You can often just shoot somebody once with the sniper and then immediately switch to a second gun, usually a shotgun, and blast them. The shotgun is without a doubt my favorite weapon in the game. It one-shots people pretty reliably, it has a good ammo count, it goes super well with the sniper. All in all, it's just a really good gun, and it's a fun gun to use as well. Okay, that's the end of the terrible ranked weapon list. You can yell at me in the comments, I don't care. We're gonna move on to the rest of the modes now. INSTAGIB is what Team Snipers would be if the snipers were actually a one-shot. It's railguns only with one twist. The charge is gone. This is an 8-year-old quickscoper's dream and is honestly a blast. My second favorite mode, and it rewards accuracy above all else. If somebody is going on a killing spree in this mode, you know that they are a dead shot. And if you suddenly miss a bullet, you are at a severe disadvantage. But you're not dead. If you manage to melee someone, you will get your bullet back. A good mode that rewards speedy accuracy above all else. It's so unbelievably boring. The Juggernaut has 250 health and cannot portal. You gotta kill the Juggernaut to become the Juggernaut, and the more time that you spend tanky, the more points you get. It's not fun being the Juggernaut because it's 1v7, and your buff is 2.5 players worth of health. On top of that, it doesn't even reward kills, it's based on time, so it rewards hiding. It's super boring, I hate it, avoid this one I guess, I don't know, I don't like the mode. Splitgate's gameplay is actually pretty fun, but in order for that fun gameplay to count, it also needs to have really fun maps, with, you know, the entire gimmick being around traversal and everything. So I am going to go through all 14 of the game's maps and say my thoughts on them. Abyss is a really good map. It is the perfect amount of using portals to your advantage while not being disadvantaged by not using them. Without portals is also really fun. I would honestly say that this is our first and possibly only 10 out of 10 map. Atlantis is a pretty weird map. The middle is chaotic fun, but for a bad reason. The sides kind of suck. They're all very narrow and disorienting. You can portal through it, but I don't find that much fun either. Now the middle is just chaos, you can see right into the enemy spawn. You can also camp where there's glasses, and apparently it's bulletproof. So you can just see where everyone is, pop up to shoot them, and then hide behind the bulletproof glass. The only concern is somebody coming from under, but if you're paying attention to the map, you're usually not caught off guard by that. It works concerningly well, 5 out of 10. It's an alright map. I don't tend to use portals on this map because I just don't think that it uses portals very well at all, but normal traversal is pretty fun. Overall, 6 out of 10. I used to hate this map and I would have gave it a 3, but then I realized how connected the portals make it feel. And although not mind-blowing, it does make it feel a lot better to play. Unfortunately, traversing the map without portals is kind of miserable, and I also don't really like open maps in general, and this one is the most open. So it's kind of like the opposite of CRAG. 6 out of 10. I don't like HELIX very much. In fact, I hate it. And I think this is extremely subjective and biased. I just feel like it's terrible to move around. You can portal around the edges, but without portals, it's just miserable. The middle is meh, and some of my worst matches have taken place on HELIX. So, extremely biased? Yes, but that's not gonna stop me. 3 out of 10. Highwind is a pretty okay map. You can use the portals, like, semi-reliably, and moving around feels kinda good, but there are some sections that make me feel a little confused, so like, 7 out of 10, not a bad map or anything. Impact is a pretty good map. It has some good portal mobility, and it's good for creating lines of sight. The only part of Impact I don't like are the interior portals, but even then, I don't think they are that bad. 9 out of 10. This map is meh. It's not horrible, but I feel like it is way too open, and there's this one vantage point that we were camping a little bit too much. 6 out of 10. This map is okay, the portals flow fine, it's just not anything special. Now if you play Domination, you either really love or really hate this map, because you can portal to the opposite objective without much effort at all, and keep watch over both A and C. It doesn't matter how many times they close your portal, because you can just do it again. I don't think that this is a good thing. 5 out of 10. Oasis is a really open map. I usually hate that, but it's actually really fun to use portals on, and you can traverse almost the entire map using nothing but portals. For that same reason, it's kind of miserable to play on foot though. It's a good map, it's a really solid map, but I'm not going to say that it's amazing. 8 out of 10. Olympus is a really solid map. There's lots of places with portals, you can use momentum. If you fall down at the bottom, it's kind of impossible to find your way back up. There's like a little ring that you can portal up, but overall that's not a huge issue. 9 out of 10. Above average map. Overall, it's pretty fun, portals work nicely. I just don't have much to say about it because this is like my 12th map. It's a bit too open for my liking, and I just don't feel anything special from it. 8 out of 10. Club Silo is awful. Portaling sucks. The only cool thing you can do is gain a lot of momentum in the middle, which, while fun, I don't think really adds much. Traversing on foot is absolutely miserable, with a lot of places that are just not intuitive to me at all, and it's just miserable to portal, it's miserable to traverse on foot. I hate the map. I would rather play any other map. 1 out of 10. Okay, Stadium. It's a pretty good map. All the portable wall locations make sense, it's just the right size. I have absolutely zero problems with it, and strangely enough, it's iconic. So 10 out of 10. You might wonder why I bring up the fact that it's iconic, and that's because Splitgate doesn't really have its own identity. Its entire identity is Halo plus Portal, and I just don't think that the game stands out besides that. And I think my comment earlier about when you remove the portals from Splitgate, you just get Halo really just speaks volumes, because I don't think the visuals are very unique. A lot about Splitgate just feels standard, and most of the maps in it I could completely forget existing, but Stadium isn't one of them. It's the only map that really sticks into my head as the Splitgate map, but all the others, I honestly could not tell you. So with its complete lack of progression system, its dull look, and lack of identity, you could forget that Splitgate even existed. And while all of this is subjective and you could completely disagree with it, that's my personal take on the downfall of Splitgate. The developers are making a new game based on portals. Let's hope they improve a lot. Wait, the script is double the length of my Cluster Truck video? Okay, I'm completely off script here. I'm sorry this took so long to come out. Again, a part of this was motivation issues, a part of this was getting addicted to Isaac. Some of it was just that it was a lot of work. My next project won't be as lengthy as this, I feel like, because it's a lot of a smaller game. I feel like it will be a lot more straightforward to talk about. But if you actually are at the end of the video, thank you so much, and please consider subscribing. I want to get to 1K eventually. Thank you all for your support. I'll be back eventually, and for now, I'll see you guys later.